The case for war. Was the threat of Saddam and his weapons oversold? And if so, who's to blame? A harsh new assessment tonight of pre-war intelligence. Trapped, the first calls for help.
We can't get out. All the doors are locked.
And the emotional account by Chicago firefighters of last week's high-rise tragedy that killed 6 people trapped in a smoky stairwell. Health benefits. Employers finding out that helping workers get fit is good for the bottom line. And the final flight, the elegant Concorde, takes off into the history books, saying goodbye to the jet that turned an ocean into a pond.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw. Substituting tonight, Brian Williams.
Good evening. It is an explosive question. Was the case for war in Iraq made up? Was the threat of Iraq's weapons exaggerated by an administration that critics say was bent on invading a longtime enemy? The charges and countercharges are flying in Washington tonight. Did the CIA intelligence rely on circumstantial evidence? Did the White House really try to steer the evidence to push for war? We'll pause here, and when we continue, NBC News in depth. Companies deciding that healthy employees lead to a healthier bottom line for business. And later on, across the Atlantic at twice the speed of sound for the last time, saying goodbye to the Concorde. Up next, already crumbling schools getting badly fleeced. And later, he was there when it all started, and he was there again today when it all ended. NBC's Robert Hager, an eyewitness to aviation history and the supersonic Concorde.
Come fly with me, let's fly away.
For the past 3 decades or so, if you absolutely positively had to get to Europe quickly and had the money, you could. You could take the Concorde and race across the Atlantic. An era came to an end today, however, when a set of landing gear screeched down upon the pavement at London's Heathrow Airport. The Concorde is no more, and sitting in seat 14D for the last flight was NBC's Robert Hager.
At dawn, we're wheels up out of New York. 27 years after it began commercial service, it's still breathtaking to watch. And breathtaking aboard, too, as we break through the sound barrier, Mach 1. The rich and the famous are aboard with us, veteran Concorde flyers like the model Christy Brinkley and the actress Joan Collins.
Well, I'm very sad, first of all. I'm very sad not only for myself, because I've used this flight so many times between New York and London.
The menu's special for this last flight: smoked salmon and caviar, lamb and omelets with truffles, fine champagne.
We climb ever higher in this technological marvel, now to 53,500 feet. And the sign on the wall here says we're at Mach 2, twice the speed of sound, or 1,350 miles an hour.
29 years ago, I remember on a Concorde test flight out of Boston, the same thrill, standing by a similar Mach 2 sign.
The only populated area Concorde had to fly over was 3 miles out from the runway.
Remember broadcasting from New York in 1977 when the first flight to that city landed after a bitter court battle.
A tougher test of Concorde's noise levels will come tomorrow when the aircraft will make its first takeoff from Kennedy.
And covering the year 2000 crash of the French Concorde outside Paris. The beginning of the end for the plane as the recession followed, and then 9/11. People stopped flying, especially on a plane that cost $9,000 a round trip. The future's in bigger, cheaper planes, not faster ones. Our flight now coasts down to London, settling like an eagle out of the British sky. Londoners crowd rooftops to watch. Tens of thousands more come to Heathrow Airport. Now the fleet will be parceled out to museums, the parts auctioned off. As we step from this graceful craft, we all realize it's the end of a 27-year era of supersonic commercial flight, probably for generations to come. Robert Hager, NBC News, London.
And that is Nightly News for this Friday. Don't forget Dateline tonight at 8, 7 Central. Later, Katie Couric's exclusive interview with Elizabeth Smart. That's at 10, 9 Central. I'm Brian Williams reporting tonight from New York. Good night. Have a good weekend.